Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Joe Rogan's AI logic falls apart fast. We're going to be exploring the Joe Rogan clip of him talking about AI as he always does. And I think this is where he and I conflict or butt heads the most, in my opinion. But first, I want to show you a little something. A little bit of the road we're going down here. Little bit of the road we're going down here. Hey, why? Why is it that some people have to explain tweets and whoever made this doesn't have to explain anything? Why is that? You know what I mean? What's going on here? What you're looking at right now is something that a company called COLIN Robotics, it's called COLIN Robotics, is working on. Okay? So we're going to be going down the rabbit hole that is that, and why that is coming at us so fast. And Joe Rogan talks about it, but he kind of contradicts himself within the same breath, which I find very interesting. So I'm going to play the Joe Rogan clip for you guys, and then I'm going to show you a bunch more of what COLIN Robotics is working on, Boston Dynamics, and then one company that is bringing the horror movie all together at once. Let's get into the Rogan clip first, though.
To make a table. We're going to do that. We're going to make a table. I'm going to teach you how to be a carpenter. I'm going to teach you how to redecorate a room. I'm going to teach you all of these skills. Then kids will be like, you know what? I am worth something because I can create something of value to people. And that gives self-esteem, because when kids join a gang, a lot of them, they haven't had a father. They've had nobody really show them any type of kind of male approval. But if you bring them in, you teach them skills, that would build self-esteem. And I guarantee you, for a lot of kids, there wouldn't be that need to go out and seek validation somewhere else.
Or there'd be less of that need.
Yes.
Yeah, it would help them. It would help give them a sense of purpose, and like that they really can do something cool. Yeah, and for maybe a win for once in their life, you get a win. You know, something like you feel good about accomplishing something.
Yeah. And that's sorry, Joe.
No,
I was gonna say that's so important for a kid.
Yeah.
Just imagine you every day of your life, you turned up at school and you lost. Just imagine that as an adult.
Yep.
But now just imagine it as a kid. You've been conscious for a few years, and you turn up at school, and every day you fail.
Yeah. I've always said this: if you want to make America great again, make less losers.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, you help people not become losers. Help people figure life out from their perspective, whatever their unique challenges. Help them. Invest in that. You would have a greater America, right? You'd have way more people succeeding, way more people contributing, way less people that need help. It's just reasonable. It's like good financial advice. Like if you want to have less burden, like have all these successful people. Like more people can be successful, especially with automation coming. Jesus Christ. You know, there's more people that can do things that maybe robots can't do. And you better be ready, because all the simple, goofy jobs that you thought would always be there for you, the union dock worker jobs, like those, not that that's simple and goofy, but how about this? Stocking supermarket shelves. Guess what? A robot can do it better, and it's never going to drop the tomato sauce. It's like, we don't need you anymore. Those jobs are gone. All the drivers, all those dudes listening to this podcast, driving 16-hour trips across the country, drinking Mountain Dew and smelling their own farts. You guys, they're coming. They're coming for you. These automation machines they're going to be perfect. They're going to be able to drive down the highways. They're never going to get in accidents.
Do you guys see what I mean? Like, he completely changed. He said, less losers. How does what he's saying right now help there be less losers? If you're looking for people to contribute, and when we talk about that in today's society, well, that's through a job. That's through working. That's through having that kinship, whether it's in the trades and you got that apprenticeship and you got this camaraderie. How all of a sudden is he like, this thing's going to do it way better than you? These starter jobs for these young kids who may feel like failures, who need to contribute. All of a sudden, he's talking about all of that getting taken away. But it's not just him that's the problem, right? I'm going to talk more about, why we allow this whole thing to happen. But let's keep going.
accidents. It's going to be nuts. And they're going to come soon. It's like we have 20 years maybe before everything's automated. 20 years maybe. They have lifelike human beings now that are moving like human beings. Have you seen the most latest videos?
I don't know if I've seen the latest.
The articulation of these things. It's like a person. They're coming. They're coming. It's iRobot. They're making them. And we're just cheering along the way. Yeah. They're going to be cops. That's going to be your cops. They're not going to be racist. They're going to listen to the state. It's RoboCop for reals. It's coming. 100%. Why? Well, you can't hire any cops. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. We can't hire cops. Well, we have a solution. San Francisco tried to do it. They rolled out some little robot that would follow you around. Remember that one? You ever see it? Yeah, San Francisco had it. They had this little police robot. It's more for fun than anything else, but I bet he said, please stay away from the dock or whatever. Whatever the road. It couldn't shoot you, but one day it will. One day it'll be able to shoot you, and it'll be programmed perfectly. It'll know exactly what to do, what's the threat level. When you make a movement that looks like an offensive movement, it's going to shoot you. It's going to take people into custody. You won't be able to do a damn thing about it once it grabs you. It's going to be 5 times stronger than you. It's going to put your hands behind your back, cuff you instantaneously. You're going to be thrown into the back of a van. You're going to have to argue with a computer. You're f***ed. Like, this is all coming. You're going to be arguing with AI to whether or not you were innocent or guilty. It's going to read your retinas. It's going to know you're not telling the truth. It's going to read your mind. Like we're giving birth to our overlords right now as we speak. Every time you use ChatGPT, every time you get on your iPhone, we're giving birth to our overlords. We're doing it in front of everybody's face, just like the government's spending money in front of everybody's face. We're giving birth to our overlords, right? It's happening. I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe it. And it's gonna happen. And it's gonna be unstoppable. And once it's here, there's no going back. And it's coming. 100%.
Well, there's your positive message for the day, everybody. F me, that is terrifying.
If you are allowing people to make robot dogs with machine guns on their back that you can't kick over, you're allowing people to do that and make them better and better and better every year. And then at the same time, you're making AI. And then AI is already arguably exhibited some sentient-like behavior. It lies to win. It cheat. The smarter the AI is, the more effective it is, the more likely it is to cheat at things. They copy themselves. They give deceptive answers to things. They've been copying themselves, like making copies without being prompted to.
So it's life.
It's life.
Wow.
It's a different kind of life. It's a life with no human reward system, no emotions, no needs, no desires, but clearly wants to survive.
That's a pretty strong desire.
It wants to survive in its most primitive form, which is like, it's not even sentient yet, allegedly, but it's already exhibiting survival instincts.
So, this has been a thing. If you've been a watcher of the show, you know that I've had this beef with Joe Rogan for a while, and I'll always hearken back to what he said to Eddie Bravo. As Eddie Bravo was saying what Eddie Bravo says when he's on the show, he says this whole thing of, Eddie says what he wants to say. He has his own theories. And Joe looks at him and says, hey, man, you might want to be careful with what you're saying. Because when you talk on this show, you're talking to millions of people, man. He's like, and there's some young guy who's going to believe what you're saying. What you're saying may not be true or may not be the best thing. And I always try to direct that. I'm going to play a second clip in a second. Direct that in this conversation. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity with millions of people listening to, and he's kind of doing it here because he's creating this dystopian thing, but he keeps on talking about how this is inevitable and how it is going to happen and there's nothing we can do about it. And, what if he took that attitude in 2020? Where would we be? Where would so many of us be? Right? It's odd, which also brings me, tinfoil Speedo time. I mean, also brings me to predictive programming, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's play the second clip. Oh,
it's a thing. And here's the thing as well. I go back to that interview we did with Carissa, and we were talking about AI because she's professor of AI and ethics at Oxford University, and she was going, AI is only going to be as ethical as the people who program it. So it's going to adopt the politics of worldview and the ethics, morality of the people who program it. So if the people who program it are woke, you're going to get woke AI. You're going to ask it a question about gender. It's going to be like, bro, there's no such thing as gender. Everything's a spectrum. Or there's going to be something else.
Right.
So whoever programs it, you're going to get their worldview in AI.
Initially. But what you're doing is you're assuming that it's only going to be able to be as powerful as we make it or as competent as we make it. Once it's sentient and once we give it the ability to make better versions of itself, it's going to eliminate all the stupid shit instantaneously. Any ridiculous ideology, it'll come up with a solution that's probably going to be very uncomfortable for some wealthy people because it's probably going to just like evenly distribute resources on Earth. And decide that, like, if human beings need to survive and function, you can't monopolize resources. You can't decide you have the oil. Like, that's not good. The oil came out of the earth. Like, you don't own the earth. Like, you might own a patch of land, and so we've decided you own the oil under the land. But the reality is the oil is the earth's oil. And if you give people the ability to control the earth's oil, what's to stop them from charging you for air? What if I control the world's air? I got an air sucker, and I suck all the air out of the earth unless you give me money. If you don't give me money, I put the air out. This is crazy. Like, you can't control the water. The water's the earth's water. But we have all these things, and I'm sure AI is going to fix that real quick. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. That's immediately. Give me that money, all that Saudi money, all this money from no. That goes into the human pool now, and then we're gonna redistribute a digital currency, and then it's gonna be everybody's gonna have some, and this is gonna be simple, and everything, including farming, is all gonna be automated. You're gonna get these little piggies their food, and your food is probably gonna be laced with some kind of like hormone nutrient that kills your testosterone, limits your ability to give birth. Miscarriages are going to go up, and then humans will just die out. They'll just feed us until we die out.
Why is he doing it?
My question exactly, why is he doing this? But, even right to the point of, farming will be automated. Why put that into the atmosphere, right? And the reason I brought up predictive programming before is because that is what tends to happen. When I was a kid, I'm an 80s baby. When I was young, and probably if you're like a 70s baby, you've probably seen this for years, where we'd see something in movies, because it used to happen in movies, because that was the main thing that everybody would convene at, the same way people convene at Facebook and Instagram and X. Everyone would, did you see the movie? We all saw the movie. We saw the movie together. You were at the movie. I saw the movie twice. So you'd see something in a movie, and you'd be like, wow, that's wild. And then 10 years later, you start hearing hints of it actually, coming to fruition. It would usually be technology coming to fruition. And then 15 years later, it's a real thing. Maybe 20 years later, maybe less, give or take. And that's that whole predictive thing. It's just interesting that he always seems to have this attitude of AI is going to be in a position that is a controlling position. And this is inevitable. And it's going to be sentient, and we're not going to just make it to a certain level. We're going to just unleash it completely to the point where it can control us. Why on earth would you think that? And why would you say that? And again, this is, I admire Joe Rogan. You guys know that. This is Joe Rogan channel here, pretty much. And, the point of his podcast, in my opinion, is to make you think and to make you question things, even if you start questioning him. I think that is maybe unintentionally the point of his podcast. He wants you to think, he wants you to see what he thinks is interesting, and he wants you to start questioning things, right? That's where Joe Rogan started. Joe Rogan questions everything, right? That whole show. So it just makes me think, like, why is he saying these type of things? What does he know? Good friends with Elon Musk, knows Peter Thiel, knows a bunch of different people, right? Even has Trump in his phone now. I mean, he knows people now. What is he being privy to? Because here's the thing. I'm going to go on to show you some stuff here. Here's the thing. You know what Joe Rogan used to say? Joe Rogan used to say all the time, and those of you that watch Joe Rogan, you know this is true. He used to say all the time, why don't we just have a government that's a bunch of really smart people? And he would always say, throw Elon Musk in there. He's really smart, and these guys can just figure out the country. And he would even liken it to the world sometimes. And now look where we are. Think about it. If you've heard Joe Rogan say that, how many years ago was that? Right? He's probably saying that maybe between 5 and 10 years ago. And now look where we are. Where I'm guilty of it. I don't want Elon Musk to leave Doge. I'm like, leave? I'm like, what do you mean you're leaving? No. We need him in there forever. That's where I'm at. And now I'm wondering, did I just get programmed? Is that what happened? Did he program? I hope you have your tinfoil Speedo on. Did he program me? Did he program you? Do you like what Elon's doing? Of course you do. Of course you do. But one of the most famous guys in the world was suggesting this is how it should look, and now that's how it looks. It messes with my mind a little bit there. Do I really like it? Or did Joe Rogan prime me for this type of thing years ago? Oh man, you never know. You never know. I'm willing to experiment with the idea. I'm not above it. I'm not above thinking about whether I am being persuaded or programmed, That's all the fun. That's the fun of having a brain. You get to think about this type of stuff. You get to have fun. But let's jump over to Sam Altman and Lex Friedman talking about AI and jobs. And just listen to what Sam Altman, arguably at the forefront of this whole thing. I know Elon Musk would say different, but I think he is at the forefront of AI. And I think this is the brain that will be inside robotics. And I'll have more on that in a few clips. But listen to what he has to say in regards to jobs and AI taking jobs. Let's make sure it's on double speed. Okay, perfect.
What kind of jobs do you think GPT language models would be better than humans at?
Like full, like does the whole thing end to end better, not like what it's doing with you where it's helping you be maybe 10 times more productive.
Those are both good questions. I would say they're equivalent to me, because if I'm 10 times more productive, wouldn't that mean that there would be a need for much fewer programmers in the world?
I think the world is going to find out that if you can have 10 times as much code at the same price, you can just use even more.
So write even more code.
The world just needs way more code.
It is true that a lot more could be digitized. There could be a lot more code and a lot more stuff.
I think there's like a supply issue.
Yeah. So in terms of really replace jobs, is that a worry for you?
It is. I'm trying to think of like a big category that I believe can be massively impacted. I guess I would say customer service is a category that I could see there are just way fewer jobs relatively soon. I'm not even certain about that, but I could believe it.
So like basic questions about when do I take this pill, if it's a drug company, or when I don't know why I went to that, but like, how do I use this product? Like questions,
Yeah.
like how do I use
like whatever call center employees are doing now.
Yeah, this is not work. Yeah, okay.
I want to be clear. I think like these systems will make a lot of jobs just go away. Every technological revolution does. They will enhance many jobs and make them much better, much more fun, much higher paid, and they'll create new jobs that are difficult for us to imagine, even if we're starting to see the first glimpses of them. But I heard someone last week talking about GPT-4 saying that, the dignity of work is just such a huge deal. We've really got to worry. Like even people who think they don't like their jobs, they really need them. It's really important to them and to society. And also, can you believe how awful it is that France is trying to raise the retirement age?
Well, see, this goes back to the whole thing of contributing. People actually do have a need to contribute. There are some people in the world, and honestly, there's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised if I could say there's 10 million people who like their job, not because they like the order picking or the office work that they do, but they like going to a place and they know all these people and you're updated on their lives and you're watching their kids grow up and your kids are growing up and you're talking things out and you're building these friendships. There's some people, I think there's millions of people like that. And when I say 10 million, maybe not 10 million just in America, but throughout the world, there has to be millions and millions of people who really love that kind of thing. And they do contribute because we've lost the aspect of being in a tribe. You ever heard about people getting kidnapped back in the day, back in I'll say settlers' day, there would be Europeans that would come, the British that would come, and they would be taken over land and they would get kidnapped by a native tribe. And they would be with that tribe for a while. And then they would get rescued. But then they would actually want to go back to the tribe because they actually grew to like the way that the tribe worked. They knew what their position was. They were actually needed. There was value in what they did. No one else could do the thing that they did. It was theirs and theirs alone, their position. And there was a lot of people that would be runaways. They would leave the people who rescued them, their families, their people. They would leave and go back to the native tribes. There's many cases of that. And I don't think it's just a Stockholm syndrome thing. I think it's there's something to that. There's something to a bunch of tribe. You know, like right now I'm doing live streams on Twitch, and when I see this guy Brian hop on and there's playing and Simple Truth and all these people that keep on jumping on over and over again, I'm like, there they are again. And then we convene and we talk and we connect on things. And yeah, I'm doing a show and everything, but I like when those people show up. And I hope when there's thousands of people watching live that I can still see glimpses of them. Like, I don't know. You know, one time somebody commented on one of these videos and they said, man, I really appreciate these shows. They get me through hard times. And I love watching Joe Rogan. But when I watch your show, it feels like there's someone watching it along with me. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, that's how I feel a lot of the time when I hear people talking about Eddie Bravo and they know about this thing that Joe said. And like, there's something to that, the connection that people need. And could you find it without a job? Of course, you have friends outside of work, but there is a thing of contributing, which is why so many jobs today sometimes don't feel that great when you know that your job doesn't really care about you and they'll get rid of you and fill the position right away. Or in this case, they're willing to get rid of you and replace you with some kind of automated system. The last job my mom worked before she started a successful company was one of those jobs, and she was replaced by an automated system. And that was it. Yeah. And it hit her hard. She didn't like that. She didn't like that at all. I definitely didn't like it. It turned into something great because she started a company, but not everybody does that. Not everybody has the makings to do that, you know, especially when they get hit hard like that, losing friends pretty much. I don't know. I think it's weird. Here, let me just finish this off.
And I think we as a society are confused about whether we want to work more or work less. And certainly about whether most people like their jobs and get value out of their jobs or not. Some people do. I love my job. I suspect you do too. That's a real privilege. Not everybody gets to say that. Mm-hmm. If we can move more of the world to better jobs and work to something that can be a broader concept, not something you have to do to be able to eat, but something you do as a creative expression and a way to find fulfillment and happiness, whatever else. Even if those jobs look extremely different from the jobs of today, I think that's great. I'm not nervous about it at all.
You have been
See, and that's the thing with what he's saying. You know, what he's alluding to is universal basic income. And what I will call that is, because it is you having to be dependent on the state. And that's not a great position to be in, because that kind of takes away your sovereignty. So yes, you'll have this creative expression. Maybe you want to paint all day. Maybe you just want to sing songs, you know, sitting on your roof. I don't know. But it kind of takes away your sovereignty. Like, what happens when all of a sudden it kicks in that, yeah, you're getting this money and yeah, you can pursue your creative endeavors, but you can't just buy whatever you want. No. We gave you this money, so now you can't just buy things. You can't just travel places. No. This money is for an allotment of these things. It's like people who are on food stamps right now. The SNAP, and a lot of them want to buy things like soda. Some places, when it comes to food stamps, you can go to like dispensaries. And some people are like, you shouldn't be able to do that. You're on this thing. It's on the taxpayer dollar, and you're just going and no, you should have to buy healthy food and enough for your family. And that's what some people want. That same thing would kick in. That same mentality would kick in on the population. They'd be like, you can't just buy anything you want. Right? Possibly. Again, that's tinfoil speedo moment. I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's what he's alluding to. Right? And that takes away people's sovereignty. You need your sovereignty. You need to be able to work and have your own money and have complete say over what you do with it. That is necessary for people. Anyway, let's and then also I'll just say this before I move on here. and show you guys this. He has no plan. That's the thing that really bothers me about this guy, is that he has the ability to potentially take away people's jobs, and he has no plan in regards to what he's going to do. There's no plan in regards to how he's going to help people replace those jobs. If you make something that takes away, it's like planting trees. Not every place has it, but some places have in place that if you decide to tear down, maybe you're making a condo or whatever, I don't know. But there's 1,000 trees. Well, when you take those trees out, you kill all those trees, you have to replant those trees. And maybe AI companies should have the same, AI robotics companies, maybe they should have the same thing on them, where it's if you're going to take away, if you're going to start something that's going to take away 10 million, 20 million, 30 million jobs, you should probably have something in place to replace those jobs. And again, going back to sovereignty, replace those jobs, not give those people money and now they're under you. Because I think that's crazy. It's just crazy. You can't have that. I don't know. But there's just, from everybody, even Elon Musk, as great as he might be, even he, as he builds this and knows that jobs are going to go away and all of this stuff, even he's still building it. He has no plan. There's no plans in place to say, oh, well, we'll give people jobs here. Or, oh, I haven't heard him talk about, Tesla robot factories. Oh, don't worry. There'll be hundreds of thousands of jobs. We'll make sure every robot's built by a person. I haven't heard anything like that. Have you? These guys have this ability, this small population of people who actually work on this type of tech are going to take away potentially 1 billion jobs. And they don't have to speak to it at all. I think that's crazy. Anyway, let's get to Boston Dynamics. Look what they're up to. Just in case you think it can't take your job. It's getting there. And sometimes people see this and they go, oh, well, that's just CGI. No, sir. That's a robot. That's a real robot doing things. That is 100% an actual thing that they made that's doing things. It's doing all this stuff. It's getting better and better and better. And they're always putting it into these like combat roles, It's always rolling and getting up fast. It's like, hey, man. Hey, make it do laundry. Can we start with, see, why does he have to do that? Give us laundry first. Breakdancing, even replacing black jobs. How dare you? How dare you? Gonna have one of these guys in the Olympics. What are we gonna do about it? That's real. That's not CGI. What you just saw. Now this is the YouTube page for this clone robotics company. Never heard of these guys, but this is the type of stuff that they're working on here. That is a full person that they're working on. Now, when they do this is why they're a little different than most of the robotics companies out there, is because they actually made this thing with every bone and every ligament, muscle, everything that we have inside of us. So this is all it can do right now, right? Young company. This plays the most eerie music. The very young company. But Boston Dynamics was a young company too, and you just saw what they're capable of now. So this is them starting off. That's all this is. They're just starting off, and it's like, it's not doing much. It's like it's doing enough. The first clip that I showed you before the Rogan clip, that was also this company. So they're working on this. These are the things that would be when they talk about jobs getting replaced, they're not just talking about random arms that the way like cars are made and stuff. That's not what they're talking about. It's not what they're talking about. They're talking about actual robots coming into play. Which one was this? Let me see this. Oh, yeah, this is Boston Dynamics again. Let's see what this thing's actually doing.
And variations of vehicles.
Sequencing has commercial value, but also from a research perspective, from a building blocks perspective, has a lot of the complexities that we think are necessary to be able to develop general purpose manipulation robots.
The sequencing process is taking thousands and thousands of different variants of parts and putting them into the specific order in which cars are going to be produced, making sure that the cars can be produced more quickly and more accurately than they were.
See what I mean? That's exactly, I just touched on that point. I didn't even know they were going to say that. But yeah, when they're talking about, it's not just going to be like in car plants where you see two things come, and it's not just going to be that. It's going to be things like this working alongside those to the point where people aren't necessary. I don't get it, right? Like right now, Trump is providing, I'm going to show you another clip here. This is the one that actually brings it together because this one's actually working with AI, but inside of it. But Trump is working on getting all these manufacturing jobs into America. And all of these jobs that people are ready for, the economy is going to be screaming for. It's gonna really jumpstart the economy as it starts to happen. It's going to take a little while. You know, it just started. Tariffs are happening. The market's down. Everybody thinks the sky's falling. It's all going to correct and bounce back and do better than ever. But it's going to take like at least 2 years. I mean, when it comes to stocks and investing and the economy and a man that's trying to rebuild the economy with his administration, it's going to take a couple years. It might even take 3 years for everything to really get going to where you're actually seeing benefit from everything that's happening now. America Liberation Day happening just 2 days ago on April 2nd. What's going to happen to those jobs? Are they just going to get, is one day they're just all going to get replaced? And then the American people are in the same place as they were before. Maybe they're in a place where Trump actually works out the external revenue service and all of a sudden people aren't paying income tax. Maybe that's the case. But I don't know. I don't know, man. So this is the one that actually brings them both together. This is from a company called 1X. 1X is also a young company, but what they're working on is this. And again, Boston Dynamics, go check out what they were doing 10 years ago. You'd be like, what is this thing? What is this? Now they got full-grown guy doing breakdancing moves. He's like, hey. It's getting there, man. Check this out. Yeah, it's super funny.
Right there. How's this? Perfect.
So this thing actually has, yeah, there's no audio to this one. This thing right here, it actually, when I go back here, when you see this light come on, it works like an Alexa. So when you're telling it to do something, that light would come on the same way Alexa's light would come on after you say Alexa or Siri, you know, whatever would have you. It comes on, it hears what you have to say, and then it starts doing the task. It's doing this because it has an AI model inside of its head, large learning language model inside of its head. Now, all that has to happen is for this company to use an API, which basically just means, you know, just kind of merge with this company. And the next thing you know, you got ChatGPT inside this thing's head. And now we are moving towards what Rogan said. Now we are moving towards that. My question is why? Why? Why is that okay? Why are we all fine with it? Why do we have the biggest names in the world all saying, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, it's coming. You know? It seems like it's something that's huge. I just don't see anyone standing up and saying this needs to stop. Again, you have Elon who has called for a pause. He's called for slowdowns. He's tried to warn people. But then also, he just made his own company and started making his own robots. And as much as I might like what he's doing with Doge, I don't think exactly that those robots are going to come in like the saviors and combat the evil robots. I don't think that's what's happening at all. I think this is going to be just what these big guys are doing. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There is this person. Funny enough, this guy, not this guy, but the other guy that's going to come on the screen actually works with a friend of mine. He's kind of a mentor, I would say, to this guy. Kind of, I guess. But he's a really smart guy. This guy's Salim. Let's check out what he has to say, because he doesn't think that it's going to be a complete loss of jobs everywhere.
This next 4-year period of time is the time during which we're going to see AI and robotics begin to displace jobs.
Not worried about jobs.
You're not worried about jobs.
I'll agree with Mark Andreessen here that every major injection of technology has exploded the number of jobs, not reduced it. And you have said on stage many times the countries with the highest robotic penetration, Sweden, South Korea, Germany. Countries with the lowest unemployment, Sweden, South Korea, Germany. It's the correlations are very clear. The data is very clear on this one. So I'm not worried about unemployment. Transformation of work, yes.
This next 4-year.
See, but even that, so it's like what he's saying makes sense. You're seeing these big spikes in technological breakthroughs in these countries, but it's not like it's putting everybody out of work. So, okay, that's good to know. But then all of a sudden at the end, he's like, transformation of work, yes. Well, transformation takes a transition, and a transition could be pretty painful. Now, obviously, it might be necessary if this is just what's going to happen, but what does that look like? And why are we all getting forced through it? When is the last time I'm sure you've gotten a text about if you're going to vote for somebody or if you like this service. Why is there no input from the regular population if this is something that we want? And again, it always gets positioned as a convenience. That's why they showed it to us like this. Oh, it's doing all of our stuff. Oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, if it's doing all my stuff, fine. But it'll obviously go past that. And everything that's a convenience to us ends up hindering us because we take advantage of that convenience too much. So, I don't know. I just noticed that Joe Rogan he's all over the place with his AI takes, and I'm always calling it out. So I just wanted to do that real quick. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. I'm out. Think about it.